Hi, my name is Queenie, and I will be discussing the role of fears in No Name Woman by Maxine Hong Kingston. We will be discussing the terms of it being implemented into the youth to maintain order and enforce values of family expectations versus fear in American children's literature to promote growth and adulthood. To begin, No Name Woman is the first of 5 women discussed in the memoir The Woman Warrior. It is an autobiography blended with Kingston's interpretation of old Chinese folk tales and her experiences with Chinese tradition. Kingston introduces her story with a warning from her mother, describing the gruesome experience her family went through during the village's raid against her aunt. She uses morbid language. Quote, "Their knives dripped with blood of our animals, and one woman swung a chicken whose throat she had slit, spattering blood and red arcs about her." End quote. This imagery is enough to spark goosebumps on a child's back. While most children in America have lived with the bedtime story of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, perhaps Kingston's childhood was the same, except when she reached her menstrual years, they were filled with terror stories rather than period stories. Her mother continues with a warning. "Don't let your father know that I told you." He denies her. "Now that you have started to menstruate, what happened to her could happen to you. Don't humiliate us. You wouldn't like to be forgotten, as if you have never been born. The villagers are watchful." The purpose of this warning, Kingston's mother tells her, is to embed fear within her so she does not act out of place. In this case, she mustn't have premarital sex. Her aunt is a triggering subject for her father, thus she must not mention her name. If she disobeyed her mother, she would be forgotten, just like her aunt. Kingston recognizes the weight of love and sex, forced upon Alern from a young age. She sees the impact it has on her family from the experience of her aunt. Rather than chasing the boys in her school, she hexed herself no dates, acknowledging that her, quote, family allowed some romance, paying adult bribes prices, and providing dowries so that their sons and daughters could marry strangers. Marriage promises to turn strangers into friendly relatives, a nation of siblings, end quote. Romance was the binding of strangers for benefit, and following the magnitude of attraction. It, quote, eludes control so stubbornly that whole societies designed to organize relationships among people cannot keep order, end quote. The idea behind implementing fear as a method for maintaining order with engraving family values alludes to Kingston's perception of romance. Fear is a common tactic used in children's literature. Popular books like In a Dark, Dark Room, The House with a Clock in Its Walls, Goosebumps' Night of the Living Dummy, and a classic Coraline has been a favorite amongst our childhood. The reason why scary books are such an appetite for young readers is its thrill of a heroic ending. According to Jackie E. Stalcup in her article Power, Fear, and Children's Books, she quotes, "Fear-alleviating books offer a model in which children overcome their fear not simply through relying on adults, but through developing adult-like characteristics themselves. More rarely, a book encourages the child reader to reject the adult world altogether. Alleviating children's fear, thus, is not the only goal of such texts. Their subtext reveals some of the unstated ideologies that shape our relationship with children." End quote. While fear can serve as a growth element in a child's personhood, in the Chinese culture, it is used to promote obedience. Kingston says, "Whenever she had to warn us about life, my mother told stories that ran like this one. A story to grow up on." Growing up in a Chinese household myself, I have experienced stories my mother used to tell me and my sister in order to ensure we acted right.
我係一個媽咪，我有3個寶貝女。咁咧，我每日咧最開心嘅咧就係收工翻嚟咧煮晚餐俾佢哋食。咁我個大女同細女咧就好挑食嘅，咁我就想佢哋咧食多啲嘢， 咁我就諗到咧，我自己嘅親身經歷啦，就係有一次咧，我係喺2年班嗰陣時，咁咧我個媽咪咧就俾咗錢我去買早餐食，咁咧我就攞住嗰啲錢咧就去買雪條食，因為咧我以前咧我自己屋企咧就我個媽咪咧就係好慳嘅，佢以前咧雪條咧就係5個仙一條。咁我自己嘅媽咪咧就覺得5個仙咧都係錢，所以咧佢就唔會買俾我食嘅。咁我見到其他小朋友有得食啦，咁我就好渴望我都可以食到。咁啦，我11點放咗學咧，我就會餓暈咗喺個路邊。咁啲同學咧就送我翻到屋企，我收尾先知道咧唔可以唔食早餐嘅。咁咧，我將我呢個故事咧講俾我個細女聽，希望咧佢咧就唔好去揀食多啲嘢，等自己咧就健康快高長大。
See a common theme between American children's books and Chinese ideologies. As Stalcup had mentioned in her article, parental control of the child's environment forms the foundation of a child's sense of security. Kingston's mother and immigrants alike have used fear in their teachings to help form the judgment of what is wrong and what is right. She says she tested our strength to establish realities, where first generations like Kingston are forced to figure out how the invisible world the immigrants built around their childhood fits in solid America. End quote. An example of a children's book to educate the harsh realities of the world is the Gashly Crumb Tinies by Edward Gooey. It is a graphic abecedarian book that tells the death of 26 children in rhyme corresponding to each letter of the alphabet. Its small-sized book caters to the hands of young children, and organization of sentences per page accompanied with the drawing markets this as a children's book. It has been controversial in that its gruesome images shouldn't be shown to the youth, but others argue that the children's cause of death in the scenarios are real-life risk and can serve as a lesson for children on safety. To conclude, fear can be beneficial to our youth. It can promote the development of empathy and coping mechanisms in children to face fear and difficulties in the adult world. While it may not be the most effective way in deterring young children from rebellion in the Chinese culture, it certainly can help engrave family values. As seen in Only Woman, Kingston has contributed to the forgetting of her aunt and active obeying her family. Through discovering her own personal identity of a Chinese American, the story she writes is a tribute in remembrance of her aunt. Cautionary fear-like tales are told in order to promote maturity and obedience in the Chinese culture. Fear tales are not all necessarily bad. It can benefit our youth as seen in children's literature. In preparation of the adult world, children are able to understand tougher emotions that scary stories teach them how to combat through empathy. In embracing maturity from harsh realities and the real world, fear serves both the Chinese ideologies and Americans' children's literature.